What's that mean? When do I use this? What's that button do?
Never a dull moment at the Springs.
The 4x4 Insiders, an off-road show for the everyday four-wheel driver, whether you've been doing it for years or just starting off. This is the place to go for your off-road tips, great adventures, a good laugh, and an inside look into the lifestyle that goes hand in hand with owning a four-wheel drive.
That was
Are you not entertained?
The 4x4 Insiders, the Good Oil podcast, is brought to you by Mad Matt 4-Wheel Drive and the Springs 4x4 Park. Well, boys, we are back once again with the Good Oil podcast. How are we all this week?
Fantastic.
Cranking.
We're so pumped.
Yeah.
It's great.
man.
Well, I got to spend a day with my good mate Lucas up at his four-wheel drive park playing with winches, and we had a good day.
It was a cracking day.
Look, that leads in nicely because tonight we are talking about the High Country, where winches, I heard from rumours that winches were used in your adventure up there, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that tonight. But what we're going to do is actually a slightly different iteration of the podcast, and this is a High Country Special. So what we're going to focus on is your trip that you two boys went on to the High Country. We're going to try and, in a compact time period, jam in as much info. I know Matt's already worried about that, but in a compact time period, I'm going to do my best, and we're going to try and jam pack as much as we can into this. So if you're planning a High Country trip, you get a bunch of info from this. I think that's the goal, yeah?
Yes.
That's the goal?
Yeah. Just got to get producer Dave to produce Matt and Lucas so that we don't talk too much.
Well,
We've got so much to say.
I'm going to have to press mute regularly. But no, it's all good. Look, and I guess to start this off, Matt, do you want to give us a quick rundown on the trip you just did and why you did it?
Look, very simply, and I'll try to keep this short and sharp. Lucas and his family needed to get away from the park, and they weren't going to do it without a bit of a push. So I said to him one day, we were running around in his buggy, I said, mate, I'm going to give you two options. You can go on a holiday, and Mrs. Mad Matt and I'll come look after the full drive park, or we'll take you on a holiday. But one way or another, mate, you're going on a holiday. He's like, oh, okay. And that was the start of it late last year. And we wound up, he said, look, Michelle and Tyler never been down, the High Country. I'd love to take them down there. I said, mate, that's my favourite place to go. I'd love to take you down there, show you some of the stuff I know. And that's where it started. And from there, honestly, over my time, I've had a few really good trips down the High Country, but this was up there with one of them for sure. We had a very relaxing, inspiring, and fun time away. We just put the cameras away. We didn't worry about work. We didn't worry about doing what we do. We just went and had a holiday as family. And I think, I don't know about for you, Lucas, but I felt like yours and my friendship went to another level. We got to know each other in that personal.
Is that because is this sharing like a
Careful.
toilet or something?
We shared an experience, Dave. We had an experience, yeah.
Because and to be fair, when you poo in the bush with someone, you're on the same camp.
This has gone way off track.
Yeah.
We're keeping it on track. Sorry, back to sorry, mate.
No, just simply, when you go and do an adventure with a mate, and you water goes under the bridge, you do some cool stuff, you have some good times together. It creates a great bond, it creates a great memory, and that's what it was for us. And Paula, Mrs. Mad Matt, and I, we just really enjoyed hanging out with Breeze as a family, and there was just no pressure. We all got on we just got on really well. It was so much fun.
Awesome. Well, that's a good recap, and I hear it was a bit of a Nissan v Toyota trip, very much so, which is kind of on brand for both of you two.
Was it Mr. Bree?
Look, hold on. We'll get to that later. Now, the very first segment on this is one that we all know, and it is all about adventure.
Come on.
It's all about adventure. That segment where you find out the best places to visit, the best campsites, the best tracks, and all the places you want to go, right from the insiders. This segment is brought to you by Expedition Accessories. All right, so in this segment, what we're going to focus on for our High Country Special is some of the preparation, right? Some of the common questions people ask when they're thinking about a high country trip. So I'm going to start this off by starting with you, Lucas. Tell me, how did you prepare for the trip to the high country? What did you do?
Mate, it's a bit of a tough question. The main thing I did was I knew we were going to be remote for a number of days. So it was obvious I cryovac heaps of meat to cover us, and we froze that meat as well because obviously it stores longer when it's frozen in cryovac. So that was one of the big steps was food preparation. I Matt, you got to keep quiet. Can you put him on mute for a second? But I went and bought a spare CV for the Nissan Navara just in case it blew a CV. We took tools, So it was all about just prepping for those unplanned accidents that may happen. And we all know that Navara is a bit weak in the front end, but first aid kit, like recovery gear, like all that sort of stuff, and just trying to make a plan with a map of distance between fuel stations, distance between food stops, like all that sort of stuff. So that way you're not sort of caught out in the middle of nowhere in the high country.
Did you guys get together and kind of work out a route and a plan, or was it kind of like you both had a couple of ideas and then worked it out when you got there?
So the good thing for me was Matt's very, very knowledgeable of that whole area. He's done it many, many times. So I've been down there once before in the Battle Axe last year, but it was just not a speed run, but like we rushed it and we didn't get to see much. Just myself and some boys. But Matt and I actually sat down and I said, I want to take Michelle to here, 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 here. I named a few places. So Matt sort of tailored the trip to suit those places, keeping in mind that I had a Y62 V8 with a big caravan on the back that was just going to suck fuel. So obviously you needed to plan around fuel stops and all that sort of stuff. So no, it was I think that was part, like, just as exciting as the trip itself, was planning it and, just getting ready for the whole adventure that was in front of us. So yeah, no,
awesome.
Awesome.
We'll jump over to you, Matt. Tell me a little bit about your planning and preparation for a trip like this in the mobile nursing home.
Well, I didn't take a spare CV.
Doesn't drive it hard enough.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll get to that, Mr. Bree. So look, I said to Lucas straight up, I have a principle when you're going to the high country with me. I don't tend to shy away from any of the tracks. I want to go into places where you've got to do some steep country and stuff. So I have a basic rule an advice of you don't tow anything over 1,500 kilograms. 1,800 kilos, absolute max. And Mr. Bree just heard that, forgot it, and turned up with 2.5 tons on the back. I said to him after a few days, I didn't say anything. I said to him after a couple of tracks, I said, what do you reckon? How's that working out for you? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll get to that.
Well, talking about towing in the high country will come later in the episode. Yeah. But, Matt, specifically with your vehicle, you do a lot of trips, right? And that 200 is often kind of preloaded, yes, ready for heading off-road. But what are some of the, like, maybe the top 3 things you do when you're preparing for a trip?
So I'm very much into the mechanical space. So I'm going over the vehicle. I put it up on the hoist. So I got a hoist at home. Throw it up on the hoist. I go right over under everything. So for me, I found in that inspection, the upper control arm bushes were starting to show early signs of failure. I changed them out. Some shock rubbers on the rear of the car were starting to show failure. Changed them out. I didn't want to leave anything that I could pick up on, to deal with out on the track. So I went through all of that. I have a tread, one of those tread storage boxes, and it's my 200 series travelling spares. So I have my workshop manual in there, all of the other odds and sods that are vehicle specific, like air filters and fuel filters, all of that sort of componentry in there. So if something goes wrong, I've got gear for that vehicle in there and on hand. So I have that. I go through it. I go through my recovery gear, and we, like Lucas, we had cryovac meat. I carry 2 fridges in the vehicle for these sort of trips, and one is a meat fridge. I don't run a freezer. I just run a meat fridge, and then the other main fridge for all of that. Mrs. Mad Matt and I were on a carnivore diet. We were trying that out because I'm getting a little bit fat, so I wanted to try that to lose some weight. Still working on it.
How'd that go for you?
Well, I lost.
You meant to cut out. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You meant to cut out like soft drinks as well.
I cut out everything except those Cokes, and I've cut out alcohol as well. So I haven't had a beer for about 4 weeks now, or any alcohol for about 4 weeks. There's some days where it's a bit tough because I'd like one, but so far hanging in there, fight the fight.
Nice. Is the aim to get off it totally, or what's your goal?
I don't know. I'm going to hang around with you, so that's.
I'm going to say I'll be drinking every night in the desert. But sorry, moving on. All right, now I will duck back to this quickly. One of the common questions that people ask, right, is what are the best times of year to go forward driving in the Victorian High Country? So, Matt, being the fact that you've done it a few more times, what would be your suggestion for that statement?
Anytime you like, except keep in mind that there's areas of the high country that are closed seasonally. So really need to respect that side of things. That doesn't mean you can't go to a lot of areas. There's a lot of areas that are open right through the year round. But if you go in winter, be aware it is going to be bitterly cold. In fact, I say it doesn't matter what time of year you go to the high country, be prepared for cold weather, like proper cold. Because I've been there in December and had 2 foot of snow. And so things like that can happen. In fact, we had a cold front come through and it got proper cold. Probably down, when I say proper cold, down to like 7 degrees, I think it was. But, it's enough that you want a jacket and stuff. So that's the main thing from that perspective. Other than that, I go any time of year outside of that.
Great.
Unless you're Lucas, I was in shorts and a T-shirt the whole time.
Yeah, but that's because you're from Queensland. Matt, you're Queensland. It's just that's the uniform.
It's just he's not normal, Dave.
Yeah, sorry. Fair call. I will talk now about fuel. So what do you think, Lucas? Obviously, you had a unique kind of setup for what you were having on this kind of trip, but what did you work out? What was the kind of range you needed to be able to travel to do the high country comfortably with your setup?
The good part of it was, mate, that Matt had planned around that we were only within a couple of hours drive of a servo at any really given time. Like if we needed to, we could unhitch the van and, shoot off to a servo and come back and, top up. So that was part of the planning process that we went through. But I had, I've only got a standard fuel tank in the 62 at the moment. I'm going to go a long range fuel tank eventually, which will get me up around that 1,000 sort of Ks mark. But currently, with a 2.5 ton van, low range, up some of that crazy country, I was using upwards of 33 litres per 100 Ks. So like it was drinking it. It was running out the exhaust as quick as I could pump it in the filler. But it was fun. My range was very, very sporadic depending on the terrain, how steep, how much throttle. Like it was hard to gauge. But we did carry 10, 20, 30, 40. We carried about 60 odd litres, 60 or 80 litres extra petrol. And we used every bit of that over the course of the track. But every time we pulled up at a servo, we just top everything back up, just so we had those legs to stretch to not have to detour off our, planned route.
And I think that's the good thing about the high country as well, is you can plan it based on those things. So like, we've done trips through there before where you might roll in at Lacola and you're going to roll out into Dargo and then you can fill up and then push back through and pop out in another spot where there is fuel. But I think it's important to note that fuel economy, just like most places we go off-road, you can't judge your fuel economy based on what you do on the main road, because it is totally different when you head into some of that country, especially that steep, shaly kind of country. It chews the juice.
Fuel. I'll tell you, like a very, very good thing to take away from that is as long as you got somewhere around 20 or 40 litres of jerry cans of fuel. If you do get to that point where you're out of fuel, you can dump that 40 litres in and you'll pretty much get anywhere to get it filled back up again. So
Yep.
have
Great
that as
point.
your reserve tap, so to speak. You run out of fuel, chuck the reserve in and head for a servo.
Yep.
Awesome. Next one, Matt, is it possible to explore the high country in a weekend? Or how long should you ideally plan to explore the high country in a decent amount of detail, right? I'm not saying, obviously you could spend 6 months there and not see it all. But what's your recommendation?
What I say to people is don't try to see the whole thing. Like Lucas and I live in Queensland. And it's a day and a bit's drive to get down there. Don't try to see it all. Just go and see some of it and enjoy that. Now, you can travel through and make some, see a lot of it in a very short amount of time if you want to do the Ks and the time in the seat. But depends what you're trying to achieve. I think the biggest mistake people make is trying to see all of it too quickly.
Yeah.
So slow down. Just go, you know what? We're just going to go do Tom Grogan, Mount Pinibar. We're going to, get to Dargo and we're going home. Cool.
Yep.
You could see that in a long weekend comfortably. But yeah, so that's my advice to people. But if you and then from there, if you go, I've got a week, you can see a bit more. Take your time, enjoy it.
Yep. So what would be your recommendation, Matt, if someone was planning a trip to the high country and they had time up their sleeve, what would be, what would you pick? Like let's say you're going just yourself. Time's not a problem, but so let's say you got school holidays, you got Christmas holidays, you got 4-ish weeks. Would you go down the whole time, or would you just kind of go for a 2-week window and then go again?
Oh, I'd go for the full 4 weeks myself. I love it down there. And what I would do is I'd camp 2 nights in every place. And we actually did do that a lot. We'd go, let's get here. We just find a nice creek, camp 2 nights. Yeah. And that gave you a day off in the middle there just to veg out, read a book. And I think we all needed that just in our crew. Everyone really seemed to thrive on that space and relaxation. So if I had 4 weeks, that's exactly what I'd do. If you're coming from Sydney, I'm going to come in either through Tom Grogan or down along the Snowy River and just start poking in on the trails and start heading in. There's lots. You can just meander your way slowly south from there. Get down around Craig's Hut. There's heaps of stuff down in there to go check out. I mean, it's just such a big place. You can go. It's
underestimated.
You go anywhere and you're going to find cool stuff, cool huts, history, mining history. You're going to find great trails to drive. You're going to find fantastic campsites, and just slow down and enjoy it is the biggest key I can give to anybody.
Okay, how about resources for planning? Right, so if you're, obviously, Matt, you've been down there a few times, but what would you suggest to someone who's never been down there? They haven't got the luxury of a mate who's going with them. What kind of resources would you suggest? And Lucas, jump in on this too. What kind of resources would you suggest people use to kind of plan a trip?
I love paper for the planning, so I use 2 resources. I've got pretty much all of the rooftop maps, and I also have a HEMA high country book written by Ron and Viv Moon, and those are my resources. I sit down and I just start poking around and going, I haven't been there, and I write all over them. I put notes and highlighters of tracks I've done and places I've been, and then on all of that on my phone, I use a program called Memory Maps, and I have my HEMA maps on there. And on there, I've got little notes that I've put over the years of good campsite for 1 car, good campsite for 4 cars, nice swimming spot. All of these little notes are all through the high country that give me information. And, if we're looking for a campsite and I go, there's one of my little spots up there, we know it's there. But that's sort of how I make a plan. Everybody's different, but I don't make a hard and fast plan. So for our trip, I knew exactly where we were starting from, Tom Grogan. And I suspected the next night's camp would be about here. But on our particular trip, Mount Pinibar was closed other than coming up from the backside, which we did do. And so that mucked our plans up. So we went up.
So what, you had to go right round the back to get up, did you?
Yeah, which we did. It meant that we didn't get to, I can't even remember where we were going to camp that night. So we just got somewhere else. So I just camped somewhere else. And from there, we make it up as we go along with a general view of where we want to end up.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Lucas? Any idea, any thoughts on resources?
Yeah, well, I had the same Idahema map, probably made by the same guru that Matt was just suggesting. It looked very, very similar, but it was an older edition. But just a tip that I will give is your mobile phones and that don't work in there. So if you go in there, unless you got Starlink or something like that, you can't go in there blindly without a map or without some form of, Navman or something on your dashboard that works just off satellites with the maps already downloaded on it, because you just cannot physically find anything on your map or the satcoms that it's on your car, because it can't download the maps. So, it's very important that you take some sort of device and some maps with you. So I had the big fold-out maps that you throw on your bonnet. I had a couple of those that I bought for the trip, and I had this big HEMA book that had actual trips and stuff in it. Like it said, it'll take you this long to do this track. It's rated about this hard, so it was lots of information.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right. So last question on this section is recommendations on solo trip to the high country or trip with multiple cars. What would be your suggestion? Probably kicking off with you, Matt. And what are the benefits?
I've done every trips with clubs. I've done trips with by myself. I've done family trips. As long as they're good people, I'm in. I don't care. I'll go on my own as well. But I've even been there with you, Dave, and that wasn't the worst.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that trip. You just invited yourself and tagged along for a filming trip. It was good.
No, we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, he was hanging out at our place. We were doing some hostings for the show, and everyone was coming in so we could go to the trip. And Matt was like, "Do you reckon we can come? We'll just go ahead and spot things." It was good. I actually quite enjoyed it. It was a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon for me, it's fundamentally important to take someone with me, because I haven't been there before. So sometimes I might get into a situation where I've gone down a massive, especially with a caravan on the back, but down a massive
We're going to talk about that next, actually.
I'm in a valley and I can't get back out. Like, I need assistance, whether it's I need to sit on the brake while someone runs a winch cable, or we'll go through what Matt and I did. But I think it's very, very important that you have that second vehicle just as a backup. Like, if something happens or you break down, you can't fix it. If you're unfamiliar with the territory, it can take a life very, very quickly, especially with the low temperatures and just the very remote terrain. And you can get very disorientated and lost very, very easy. So I think it's very important to take two cars if you're unskilled and unfamiliar with the area.
Okay, cool. Good. That's great. All right, good advice. Let's now jump into our next section here, which is off-road advice.
Have you ever wondered, when should I use low range? When should I use high range in my four-wheel drive? Soft shackles are becoming a key part of the four-wheel driver's toolkit, and it's a good thing that they are. Should I fit a front locker or a rear locker first?
Yep, it's that time for off-road advice. All right, well, in off-road advice this week, is in the High Country Special, we're going to talk about modifications for the High Country. Right, so this is the topic that regularly gets brought up around the campfire, around all those kind of discussions with mates of what are the mods that you need. Now, we're going to do this, guys, in a bit of a different way. We're going to talk bare minimum mods to start off with. Then we're going to talk a little bit about your setups. And then we're going to go to, the ultimate, what you believe is the ultimate setup. So, Lucas, maybe we'll start with you. What would you say are the minimum mods that you would need to successfully have a go at travelling the high country?
Mate, I reckon any modern four-wheel drive that's out there today would probably just need a decent set of tyres, number one, and probably like a set of drawers or some way to store some some fluid like drinking water, bit of food, all that sort of stuff. I think all the modern cars now generally come with a rear diff lock standard, and they're pretty blooming capable. So when you and the maps that we were talking about before, you just plan your trip around what that map indicates. You know, that it's an easy trail. Like, it gives you a rating for your vehicle. So, like, when we were in there, we seen, you know, Hiluxes and Navaras and Rangers and like all the rest of it that were fairly stock vehicles, but they were sticking to the main tracks. They weren't going up like the Blue Rad Trail or Pinnabar or any of that crazy stuff. But if you want to go in there and just enjoy some of the beautiful scenery and nature and waterfalls and stuff, you can do it in a reasonably standard car.
Okay.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, no, I'd 100% agree with that. I think you just got to pick your battles. Don't turn up in a stock vehicle and think, yeah, I'm going to tow a 2.5 ton caravan out to Blue Rag. You know, like,
Yeah.
you're just biting off way more than you can chew.
Mm.
And to be honest, if I was trip leading and somebody other than Lucas had turned up with that rig, I would have definitely changed the trails we were driving on, because
But on this time, you were like, no, suck it. Sucked in, Lucas.
Well,
You brought it. You're in.
Stitching him
I was
up.
basically looking for material to bag him out about, you know, and it was very successful on my part, I might say. I've got loads, and I'm just waiting to download it to the audience right now.
I mean, your trail fails is coming up, so
I'm
just
holding
hold that
on,
one.
man, I'm holding on.
Hold that.
I tell
All
you,
right.
it's bursting to come out.
So we're now going to jump into your setup. So let's really quickly let's go over your vehicle setups that you had for this trip. We'll start with you, Matt. A big 200.
Yeah, so the 200 is basically it's you know, the mobile nursing home, as we call it, but it's got a 650 mil chassis extension. The reason I mention that is that means its ramp over is woeful. Aside from that, it's pretty good. It's running a 34 and a half inch tire, so it's slightly larger tire. It's heavy, which gives it a lot of off-road ability. The back end really pushes it everywhere. It's very controllable as well off-road. So it's a very capable vehicle off-road for what it is. I don't have diff locks or anything like that in it. I just use the traction control. I probably will put some diff locks in it in due course. So that's from the off-road perspective. That's how it's kind of set up. I carry tread boards, and I have a winch on the front of that, a Sabre winch, so that if I need to, the way I figure it is, if I've got to get through something, over something, I've got the tools there that can allow me to do that without having to send the vehicle and beat on the vehicle. Because in this environment, the last thing you want to be doing is busting the vehicle. So I would rather have to pull some rope and just winch through an obstacle than, just keep sending it or whatever. So,
okay, cool. Lucas, let's give us a rundown on your setup. You had two vehicles on this adventure, so maybe we'll start with the big girl, and then talk about the nav second.
Yep. So the Y62, it is a brand spanking new build that we've done with Team Bree Off Road. So it's running Razzler bar work, so steel bar work. Still got the factory steps, which now don't look as pretty as they used to, so they're getting swapped out. Got a 12,000-pound carbon winch up front and a set of 35-inch Mickey Thompson all-terrain tyres, ATs, and a ARB air locker in the front. So it's twin-locked, V8, heaps of grunt, GVM upgraded, suspension, so it's got the works and the jerks, full draw system in the back.
Yep.
Lithium batteries, like the whole lot. So very super capable vehicle off-road.
And with a very capable driver, which is why I say, with that setup and the 2.5 ton van, I was confident to take him on the trails that we did. But there wouldn't be many drivers out there that I would have been comfortable with that.
Yeah, I reckon we'll probably go through some of that stuff as part of this podcast later on. But I'll tell you what, when you're towing a 2.5 ton caravan with any vehicle, it's through the high countries. It's probably just a bit silly, to be honest, but I had a lot of fun doing it. But
hey, look, like I said, maybe not recommended, but it happens. We've all done these things. We crossed the desert with old cars. I wouldn't recommend everyone does that, but it was great fun. We did. It was good fun. Now, now we're going to talk about your preferred setup, right? So budget's budget's out the window. You get to drive anything you want for a trip in the high country. Let's go with you, Lucas, first. What are you driving? And you know, what would you pick as your vehicle of choice? And what are those mods that you're just going to have on it for this kind of adventure?
Yeah, look, that is a very, very tough question after the weekend here at the park, at the Springs 4 Drive Park. So just to touch on that very briefly, a 300 series Land Cruiser towed a caravan. The very caravan I just took to the high country, the Vision RV Nirvana 14, it towed it up Beer O'Clock Hill. We had to do some winching, but the guy, Chris, punished the life out of this 300 series to try and get up the hill, right? Mm-hmm. So I did some pretty hard yards with the Y62 in the high country with that same van, up some pretty crazy hills. And I got a lot of respect for the 300, and I actually rode in that 300 while it was here. So I'm very, very torn because I'm a patrol man through and through, but I have a lot of respect for that 300 Cruiser. Like, it did sensationally and it didn't break. But the ultimate vehicle for me would probably be the Battle Axe. So it's a GU Ute, turbo diesel. It's got reduction gears, 35s, big suspension. You know, like, it's just a super, super capable car that I can throw a swag on the back. There's a fridge in one of the boxes. It's got lithium batteries, solar. Like, it's got everything that I would need for potentially Michelle and myself to go absolutely anywhere you possibly could go in the Victorian High Country. So that would be my ultimate car, you know, for that adventure.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you first asked that question, I thought to myself, well, what would be my ultimate trip to the high country? And I think for me, it would be that sort of fast and no, that's not the right word. That, like, a quick and easy sort of trip. You know, it's just easy to get where you want to go easily. So for me, it would probably be my Bundera, which isn't on the road at the moment, but it's getting, you know, it's going to come back, and that would be, it's a 2-person tourer sort of setup. You know, you don't have a whole heap of luxury. You're in swags, but you just, it's nimble. That's probably the word I'm looking for. And it would tackle any track in that high country and be a whale of a drive. It'd just be so much fun. So I think that would be it for me.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to now jump into a little bit more detail on your trip, and this is the big one. It's that time of the week when we take on the big questions, and this week is a cracker. The big one is brought to you by the Springs 4 Drive Park and Mad Matt 4 Drive. Take it away, lads. I always like the music in this one. It's good. It's good. Now, the big one for this week, we're talking about your trip specifically, and we're going to do this and let some of the stories come out. We're going pretty well for time. We're halfway through, so that's great. We're aiming for an hour, so we're doing all right so far. Now, we're going to start with, we've got a couple of little subtopics here. We're going to start with, and I'll run through those subtopics quickly. So we're going to talk about some of the driving. Then we're going to talk about some of the camping, some of the views, because we all know the high country is about those views you get. And then we're going to talk about the locals, and then some of the mechanicking, right? So that's what we're going to aim to do in this segment. So we're going to start with the driving. And I've got the guys to send through some notes before this so we can keep on track. And I'm going to kind of give... I know it's going to be hard, but we're going to do my best. Now, the very first thing we're going to talk about is driving. And we're going to talk about towing in the Victorian High Country, right? Is it a good thing to do? Is it a no-go? What is the thought process? And the man who towed a 2.5-ton van through the high country says...
Well, if you're as dumb as I am, you probably should go ahead and do it. Mate, look, in all honesty, if you're a... And I don't want to sound like I've got tickets on myself, but if you're a highly skilled off-roader that has done towing in off-road situations before and you're comfortable doing those... you know, those activities. I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. It really challenged me the whole time because 2.5 ton, whether you're going up, down, you're on cross slopes, you know, whatever it may be, you know, you've got a lot going on, and you just got to be on your game 110% of the time. So if that's not for you, don't take a van to the high country because it is very unforgiving. and the risk level goes up significantly when you've got 2.5 ton of dead weight pushing you and bullying you around. So I had an absolute blast, mate. And my wife loved the comfort. And we probably took it places that I would suggest no one's ever taken a caravan before. So, yeah, you got to be brave. You got to have the right vehicle set up. You got to have a good quality van with good brakes, like all that sort of stuff.
I reckon, Lucas, there was one. I'd like you to share the story. So there was one one moment on the trip where, honestly, you probably just about lost the whole kit and caboodle. And it was on the Wombat Range Trail, so we had just gone past Hearn Spur, and we're heading into Wanangata Valley.
Up or down? Down
into Wanangata Valley. So we've gone past Hearn Spur. We're heading on down Wombat Range Trail, and it gets pretty steep down there, and it's a little bit rugged at the moment. Not hard, but it's a little bit rugged. And Tyler and I were at the bottom. There's this really sharp turnaround area to turn onto the trail. And we're waiting and nothing's really happening. And radio comms was a little bit sketchy. Anyway, Lucas, do you want to pick it up from there?
Well, I can either pick it up from here or we can share it on the trail files.
We'll go from here. Let's talk about the scary moment.
Because it's a semi-failure. But this hill, righto, let's paint a picture to start with. It would be not much less steep than Birraclock Hill. Like, it was steep country, like proper steep country. I think a dozer had been down there, I don't know, 3-4 months prior. So it was a bit loose, gravelly, loose dirt, all that sort of stuff. So super,
It was steep.
It was wild, mate. It was wild. Yeah. So anyway, I'm starting to go down this hill, and the car's scrabbling for traction, trying to pull things up, and I'm going, because the whole time through the high country, I'm adjusting the Red Arc brake controller, putting the brakes up higher, putting them lower, because you don't want the wheels to lock up, like all that sort of stuff. So I'm adjusting it on the fly. So I'm playing with this brake controller going, I'm getting no love off this thing. So I started pushing the button when it was at max brake capacity for the trailer, and it was dead in the water. It did absolutely nothing. And I'm like, oh, we're in trouble here. Because we were on this steep hill, 2.5 ton trying to push us down, and the brakes on the patrol trying to pull us up. So, yeah, it started to jackknife the car. So we're to the right, there was a cliff that would have been probably, I don't know, 500 plus meters straight down.
It was big.
And to the left, it was just a vertical up cliff. So there was nowhere to go. We were locked on this track. There was probably a car and a half at the absolute best width. So you didn't have much leeway to play with this thing, in this situation. So it started to step out. This van's trying to overtake me, push the back of the car around to the right. So I'm starting to get on probably about a 25-degree angle across this hill, sliding sideways with a van pushing me down this hill. And to the bottom of the hill on the track itself was kilometres. Like, it just went for ages. So I'm on and off the brakes trying to get this thing straight, because obviously if you just lock up the brakes, it's all over. We're sideways, we're rolling down this hill, and, heaven forbid what that would have come of that. So I'm off the brakes trying to get this thing straight. I'd get it straight again, and then I'd start to apply brakes again, because obviously when you get it straight, you start to pick up a bit of momentum. So we're starting to get faster and faster, and I'm trying to squeeze on the brakes. I'm in low range. I'm locked up. Like, I've got every traction aid that I possibly could have activated, and this thing is still pushing us down the hill. And the second time, it started to push us sideways again. So all this happened like quicker than I'm explaining it to you guys right now. Like, it would have happened all within probably 15 seconds. And the second time, we got like out of shape quite a lot. Like, it was past the first time. Like, we were pretty well sideways on this hill, getting pushed down by this van. And I said to Michelle, are you ready for this, or get ready for this, or something, like I said to her. And she could tell the panic in my voice. Like, my heart rate was up, like, because I'm thinking, how am I going to, control this blooming thing? So in that moment, all I was looking for on that track was where I was going to find traction. So I'm just scanning the track as fast as I can, trying to find where the traction is going to be. And over to the left was a little tiny impression from where the water had been chewing out the track. And in my mind that's where the traction is going to be because all the loose material's been washed off. So I steered to the left to try and bring the front of the car to get into that to find that bit of traction. And the other part of the theory was that once I'm in that little bit of a rut, it's going to act like a railway and try and hold the car steady and straight. So that's exactly what happened. But Michelle, when I said to Michelle, "Are you ready?" She's like, "Ready for what?" Like she was like really stressing out because she could tell we were in a world of hurt. But anyway, we got in this rut and I managed to get down 2 more of the water washouts, pretty much following this rut with my wheel in the rut. And we had enough braking pressure from the car to hold the whole thing straight and get us to the bottom. But when we got to the bottom and I had to get out of the car. Look, aircon was going flat out and I was just beating bullets of sweat because, the heart rate, the blood pressure, everything was up. But very scary moment. And all it was, well, I still haven't even tested the fuse, but there was a fuse that wasn't letting the current go to the brakes that were on the trailer. So the trailer, the Vision van's got disc brakes, so it requires a separate power feed to the van other than your 7-pin plug to operate the little pump and everything that's in the van. So it had no operation to that pump to tell the brakes to come on. The brake lights were working, but no one was home. So we swapped out that.
Yeah, I had a similar one on a van that I had once before. Yeah, everything looks like it works, but nothing's grabbing.
Nothing was home. So we changed the fuse. But I tell you, sorry, mate. I'll tell you, for the whole rest of that trip, I'd lost faith in that car and that van because of just how stressful that time was. But I think it's easy to say it now that I'm down and we're all safe and sound. The car's not damaged, but it's super important that you try and keep a level head in those situations as much as you can, because I think if I had a panic, jumped on the brakes, or pretty much did anything other than what I did, it would have ended in disaster. So, yeah.
So I think it's pretty straightforward then. Just don't take a 2.5-ton van to the high country.
Well, not down the silly
not
tracks.
down the hills.
But Matt, leave me on. It's all Matt's fault.
I will point out there is absolutely no reason you can't take a good off-road van to the high country. Absolutely. It's just planning that trip so that it sits down at sits at Talbotville or on the Crooked River somewhere, and you go and play, and you come back to it at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll tell you what, it was awesome. It was bloody awesome.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where, if you didn't have that mechanical failure, it wasn't so much the issue.
Yeah.
No.
And so it was just the fact that, the electrical system failed at the wrong moment. But this is where I just wanted to say, this is where we all like to think that we're really competent four-wheel drivers or we're really good drivers. And I think the reality is most of us aren't as good as we think we are, and myself included. I say this to myself. And
speak for yourself, mate. But...
Yeah, Dave, I'll speak for you too, mate. I'm being really... the thing is, why Lucas got through that situation was... And look, I'm not trying to blow wind up his ass or anything.
Blow it, mate. I'll have all the wind.
The reality is, he's got the depth of experience that he didn't have to. He was able to draw on muscle memory, so to speak, in how to deal with this situation. You can't learn in that situation. In that environment, you can't test things out and see what works, what doesn't. You have to make the right calls. The other thing I was just going to say in that situation is that when you get in that situation, you quickly look for life-saving options. And what's my life-saving option? Go head first into a big tree that'll stop this rig and save my life from going over a cliff. Write the car off. Like, you're not here to save the car. You're not here to save caravans. You're here to save life. And so start lining up for a tree. Can I roll the vehicle? On the left side of his was an embankment. So put the left side of the car up and lay it on its side against the embankment. These are the sort of options you have to consider when it gets to this scenario. And, because the other option is I'll just keep accelerating down the track. Next thing, you've got your Y62 launching off watersheds and getting air. Sick. That's not going. That's sick. The Toyotas handle it. what
Yeah.
patrols like.
All right. Look, but
Okay.
now that we've
Sorry.
scared everyone out of the high country, mate, we'll jump back into
Well, I hope I've scared people enough to consider very carefully what
you
they
do.
do.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
high
and
country.
Matt, to be honest, that same thing that happened to Lucas with a caravan camper trailer behind can actually still happen in a four-wheel drive.
Absolutely.
Especially when you've got like a dual cab ute and you've loaded everything in the back of it in that
Yes.
canopy with your tent and everything on it, and that back starts to try and go somewhere where the front doesn't go, and it can happen not just when you're towing. So it's
100%.
important to mention that. All right, we're going to jump on to the next one. We're going to start quick firing through this because we just spent 15 minutes on the first point.
Didn't take us long to screen you up,
well
Dave.
done. Thanks, Matt. Let's talk about Blue Rag. One of my favourite places in the high country myself. Blue Rag. How did you find it, Lucas? How was your little drive up there? Was that the first time you've been up or the second for you?
Second time. So the first time I went up in Battle Axe last
How did
year.
it compare the difference?
Oh, Battle Axe just... It was like going to the shopping centre in the Battle Axe. Like but it's a purpose-built vehicle for that
Correct
exact terrain, you know. So it just walked up there. But, mate, it was something special.
And did you go up from the Dargo Road or did you cut across?
Yes.
Yeah, through the Dargo Road. So
so up that steep bit.
Yeah, that last steep pinch that sort of is off Canberra a little bit to the right.
Yeah.
And, you know, so if you stop there and you got to reverse back with a caravan on the back, you're in a world of hurt. But, mate, the amount of traction and stuff that was on that hill, like, because that's all just rock. But, so I hit all the lockers at the bottom, so twin locked and locked it in a low gear and meandered my way up there. And I had that much confidence going up there with that car after everything else that we'd done that I was actually looking around enjoying the view on the way up. And the view there is just, it's breathtaking. And I told Michelle that before we went. When we came up, she's like, wow, you can see like for so far. Like the views here at the Springs Four Drive Park are amazing. But I tell you what, like you can't go past the view from Blue Rag. It's bloody awesome.
It is. And look, it is. What time of day did you guys end up there?
What, 2-3 in the afternoon, was it?
It would have been,
nice. So you're coming down in some of that softer light as well a little bit, which would be nice.
Yeah, it was good. But so Matt went up first. He was leading the show. And then Tyler went up before me. So Tyler was in the MP300 Navara. It is twin locked as well, with a hardcore camper on the back. So his weight would have been around that sort of 1,800 kilos. But I obviously get to see and watch what happens with that, and that gives me a bit of a better understanding of what's going to happen with my setup. But even Tyler going up there, he had full confidence, no trouble. You know, so I guess where I'm going with this is, even if you've got like a moderately modified full drive, you could go up there quite comfortably as long as your skill set is up there. Like I certainly wouldn't send someone up there that's never been full driving before. If you've got good fundamentals, mate, you got to get out there and check out the Blue Rag lookout. It is amazing.
It is one of the best. We actually did Leash and I a number of years ago actually went up to the top of Blue Rag on New Year's Eve, and we were up there by ourselves. No one else on Blue Rag brought in the new year. It was quite funny because Leash brought out one of those, things that you pop and all the confetti goes everywhere. And it was a cool idea until she fired it the wrong way and it just fired into the ground. And we had to try and collect all the pieces. So that was amazing. But no, it is a great track. The next one you've got listed on here, Matt, is Cynthia Range Trail. Tell me about that one.
Oh, well, Cynthia Range, you're coming out of Talbotsville basically, and you're heading out. It's the trail you're going to take to head into Wanangata Valley. And it's a bit of a climb up out of there. The dozer had been through there, and no dramas. Like all the vehicles would have got up through there, except that the Navaras. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Lucas. They have a tune in their gearbox where they don't always do what you want them to do. I think it's like from factory. It's not a fault. But
Yeah,
It's a
so
feature, is it?
it's a
Just
feature.
to choose your own
Yeah,
gear ratios.
it is
Yeah,
a crappy feature.
it's pretty bad. So Tyler was struggling with it the whole time. He'd have the vehicle in manual mode. He'd be like, okay, I want second gear, hold second gear. And the gearbox will just decide, no, we're going for third. And we were halfway up out of the valley. And all of a sudden, it goes from second gear to third gear and it won't do it. And so he stalls on this steep pinch, which he should have driven, except for this thing happening. Unfortunately, for Lucas, it meant that he had to stop on the watershed down below.
Yeah.
Now, so Lucas couldn't get going. Tyler couldn't get going. But it's okay. We've got a 200 series up the front. So
I have a feeling, Lucas, that Matt came up with most of this list as a way to brag about the 200, like all the way through. So,
Whatever.
sorry. Yeah,
whatever.
now I'm getting the vibe now.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they could have winched all day, but the 200 series was fine. It just backed down. We hooked the Y62 up to the camper trailer on the back of the Navara onto the back of the 200 series, and I just pulled the two Nissans and all their stuff right to the top of the hill.
Yeah, both Nissans they were dead. They didn't help at all. No.
No, I've got video footage, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, my
It was
goodness.
perfect. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful day in the office.
So now I know. So, yeah, cool. Now I understand why Cynthia ranged trails on there, Matt. Nicely played.
Beautiful.
Victoria Falls. We're going to that next. Lucas, Victoria Falls. Tell me about that.
That was a bit of a stitch up. And I don't think Matt really understood the stitch up either.
Surprise.
At the
Here's
time.
another Matt stitch up.
So Victoria Falls, there's a bit of history there as well. Like the track that goes in there, it was a hand dug trench. I can't remember the exact details, but they dug this trench and they run a power station off it and ended up failing and all the rest of it. And they filled it in and that's now the road. But anyway, go and check it out and you'll learn the history. But when you're driving along this trail, there's a cliff to your right-hand side. And Matt likes to take me where there's cliffs on my right-hand. So I'm looking at them down out my window, but there's a cliff down there about 300-400 meters and you're meandering along the side of this mountain, right? And you do a loop at the end and you meander back. And while you're on that mountain, you can look over to the left or the right, depending on which way you're going, and you can see Victoria Falls, which is absolutely stunning. Like, beautiful. It is stunning. So it's definitely worth the visit. Not with a caravan on the back. So we're going around these hairpin corners, and I'm going as wide as I can, basically rubbing the side of my patrol on the bank, and the van's cutting the corners and nearly sliding off the edge of this cliff. It was like those TV shows, The World's Most Dangerous Road. But yeah. But if you were just in the car, it'd be fine. Don't take a caravan in there, please.
Don't take a caravan on the Victoria Falls
What bit of the
track.
Hey Lucas, don't bring anything big with you. Did you understand?
No, mate, I don't listen.
We've worked that one out.
We actually camped there that night. There wasn't a great swimming spot there at that time, but we had a little fire there that, you know, and it was quite actually there was a random jogger. This dude just come jogging down the road with a torch. We were watching this torch shining through the trees and bouncing around, and I'm like, what's going on here? And this random dude just come jogging down the track and turned around and jogged his merry way back the other way.
Look, fitness. I don't understand it. I never
thought
will.
It was Matt with his carnivore diet and all that. But yeah, but beautiful spot, great. Victoria Falls. Go and check it out. The waterfall is absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Amazing. All right, we're going to jump onto the camping now. Let's jump into camping in the high country. Matt, you've listed Bindaree Falls here as one of your favourite camps. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it's not really a camp. I don't know why it quite made there, but anyway, doesn't matter. Bindaree Falls, well worth a view. So it's just down from Craig's Hut sort of area. It's within Cooey, Craig's Hut. And, yeah, it was just well worth it. We all went up there. We wound up jumping under the waterfalls and having a cold swim and getting photos and stuff. But it's just really cool, well worth checking out. And the forests through that area, I don't know what they're like, subtropical maybe, but I don't know if that's the right word. Don't trust me. But beautiful forest just through that whole area around Craig's Hut. Lots of beautiful stuff to just enjoy as you drive through and take your time. But there's just lots of little cool campsites all through those regions.
And you listed
Grogan.
Tom Grogan. Yeah, tell me a bit
Yeah.
about Tom Grogan.
So Tom Grogan's on the New South Wales side of the Murray River, up near Thredbo sort of area, for a reference. And big area to camp. Camping on the Murray River is really cool, and it's just easy to get to as well. So that Tom Grogan is a great spot if you've got a caravan, and even a car is going to get you in there, and you're going to be able to camp at Tom Grogan. You won't be able to cross the Murray River, but you'll be able to camp there. So it's a really good spot. They got toilets there as well, which is great.
Awesome.
Hey, Matt.
Yes,
Tell
mate.
just while we're on Tom Grogan, I just want to give you guys a bit of funny
Here we go.
stuff, right?
Yeah, come on.
So is it Thredbo we come through or Jindabyne? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, go on, Fred.
But there's Thredbo. So there's this ranger station, right, that you're meant to pull up to and go, what are you doing? You go, yeah, I'm driving through or camping or whatever, and you pay a fee or they give you a pass. So Matt and I have pulled in, done that. Tyler, he's just gone, just straight past it. He didn't realise it was a blooming stop point. So make sure you stop at that ranger station and get a pass. Like, we didn't stay at Tom Grogan, actually. We were on the other side, but make sure you stop there. And the other thing to note is don't follow the GPS to Tom Grogan campground because it takes you onto this farmer's property.
Right.
That
Tyler did that too.
Tyler's followed the GPS, took it onto this dude's property, and Tyler's like driving along this fence line trying to find a gate that was open. And the farmer's turned up and he's like, what are you? Like, he wanted to pull out the shotgun off the back seat. Like, he was furious. So I'd say it happens a lot. So Tyler's come out of there and it's the rest area. It's Tom Grogan rest area on your GPS. Don't go to the campground because old mate wants to shoot everybody.
Yeah, because he's Tom Grogan station.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Tyler didn't go to the place I sent him the pin drop. Like, go here. He made up his own thing. So he ended up.
I did the same, by the way. Not just Tyler, it was Lucas as well.
Hey, look,
it's a briefing.
It's a briefing. We send links for these podcasts every week, and Lucas asked for it to be resent somewhere. So that's how it works.
But at the same time, Matt thought it was flaming hilarious that we both nearly got shot. So it might have been a match stitch up too. Who knows?
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. Could have been.
No, it wasn't.
You've got bringing it back. You got two other camps listed here: Walker's Creek Camping and Upper King Hut. Tell me a bit about those. I don't know those ones.
Yeah. So, Lucas, you want to talk about Walker's Creek? That was the one we camped out after Pinnabar. And down there we had the motorbike riders come in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you
so
guys went swimming and
that was a very nice. There was a little hut there as well. So for emergency use, I think that hut's for. But there's a hut there that you can get out of the crazy weather if need be. But there is a beautiful creek, fresh, crystal clear water, and there's like a little swimming hole on one of the bends of that creek. So it was like when I first stepped in there, my feet went numb, like it was that cold. But after about a couple of minutes, it was bloody lovely. It was so peaceful and quiet till the motorbikes turned up. But the bikes, I think, were still very respectful of everyone around them as well. Like, they rode in, pulled up, turned the bikes off. Like, they weren't rat bagging all hours of the night or anything. Like, they were there to enjoy the peace and serenity and the bush as much as we were. So, it was you could take a caravan in there, you can take a swag in there, a tent. It's the road to access that is very, very good as well. So definitely highly recommended to go and check that one out.
Okay.
And then we
Matt,
got
Upper King, last
Upper
campsite.
King Hut. Yeah, so that was the first time I've ever camped at Upper King Hut. We wound up spending 2 nights there, and it's a beautiful hut. It's down from Craig's Hut. So I've often camped up near Craig's Hut, and it's
with all the
beautiful up there,
flies.
but it's flies and cold, and so we chose Upper King, and I think that was a good call. Other than the cattle get through there, so I think flies could probably be an issue sometimes as well. But anyway,
Awesome. Okay, we're going to talk about views. We're going to run through these. You've listed what I think you've picked as your 4 top spots for views in the high country. So let's start, Matt, with Pinnabar. Where's Mount Pinnabar in relation to the high country?
So Pinnabar is close to Tom Grogan, so it's up towards the New South Wales side of things, but it is in Victoria. And it's just one of those, it's a lot like Blue Rag. It's a mountaintop experience, great drive up and down. Usually there's a pretty decent four-wheel drive track up to there, but they had that closed off. With what I know now about the 2.5-ton land anchor that Lucas was towing, we definitely would have been winching up through.
The normal way up. Yeah, because it's not. There's not high traction. There's loose stuff through that
clay corner.
Yeah, I know the one. Yep.
So,
Yep.
You go for blue. Oh, we've talked about.
We talked about Blue Rag. Blue Rag's pretty good. How about the fire tower on Billy Goats? How was that, Lucas?
That was cool. That was bloody cool. So last time I went with Battle Axe, we got to the car park there. So there's a section where you park your car and then you got to walk up to the lookout. But we got to the car park there and literally you couldn't see the steel post that stops cars driving where they shouldn't because the fog was that thick. Like we were in the clouds. So we didn't even bother going up there. So this time I got a chance to go up there and check it out. And I'll tell you what, like the walk up there is even cool as like it's
way cool. Hey,
you walk up this gravel sort of track and then you get to like a phone tower or whatever it is there. But then you do a hard left and then it's sort of like a rock climbing experience, like through the boulders and there's like rails and stuff there so you don't fall off the edge. And it goes out to where this fire tower, watchtower is that's got a walkway right round it that you can pretty much see as far as your eyes can focus. And there's a couple of plaques there that explain, that's there and what that hill is and all that sort of stuff. But, mate, 100%, the view is absolutely worth it. That's why there's a fire tower there, because they can see further than anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
no, it's
sorry, mate. I was going to say you can take Billy Goats, which is not for the faint of heart. Like it's a pretty hard rated, I would say, four-wheel drive track. Or there is another way to get in there because which Matt or yourself, Dave, might be able to explain, because the fire watch gentleman that was there, he actually drove pretty much a bog stock standard Hilux up there. Like it had like all terrains on it, but it was pretty much bog stock. So there must be another well-maintained road for them to
coming
access.
in from Lacola, Matt. That'd be the way he'd come in. Yeah, forestry trails.
Trail off the top of my head, but
it goes.
Good road in.
Yeah, tonight because that's the road that I'm probably wrong with this now, but years ago you used to be able to get to that that fire tower even in the middle of winter. Because you can head up through that main Lacola road. I did hear recently that they were closing Billy Goats in winter now, when it used to be open all winter as well, because that used to be one of the cool little tracks you could do with the snow around the edges, and it was quite a bit of fun. But it's a beautiful spot up through there, and there's one spot along that track from Lacola through to that fire tower there, the lookout tower there, that's at like 1,600 meters or something, really high, and that little campground up there is just, it's awesome, but it's so cold in winter.
I can imagine.
It's a cool spot. I remember waking up, getting out of my swag on one of those trips, and just like it was covered in snow. The whole swag was just like, wow,
so good.
That's cool. All right, now we're going to talk quickly about the locals that you met on your trip, and a little bit about supporting that local economy. So we'll start off with the first one we've got written there, which is about some kind of trail rides. What was that all about?
So we pulled into Lovett's Hut, which is a great hut to check out, and there was the crew from McCormick's Trail Rides there. And so we just got hanging out with them a bit and chatting to them. I myself mainly, because I was asking for some info on the trails and stuff. But they were just a great crew running trail rides up through there. And we actually wound up, they gave us a tip and said, hey, go and stay down at Flat Spur, was it?
Yeah, it was Flat Spur.
And so we went and camped up there that night. And then we wound up coming, Paula and I have actually come back through there a couple of days later, and they were camped back down there themselves, and so we wound up chatting with them. The reason we had to go back there was we'd left our fire pan there. So we went back.
Doesn't sound like something Matt would do.
Yeah. So
nice.
Anyway, we wound up having a nice chat with them, and they were a really nice family-run business. Just, you know what I loved about the high country is there's many different ways of using the high country. Four-wheel drivers, hunters, fishermen, trail rides, horse riders. And, we all have a legitimate right to access those areas and respect those who are accessing it in a way different to ourselves.
Yep.
None of us has got a monopoly on that space. We should all be able to
Yep.
enjoy it. One of the tips with horse riding is if ever you see a horse rider on the trail, slow your four-wheel drive down and just look to the lead riders for instruction. They might ask you to, just indicate that they want you to shut the motors off. They might be training a horse. They might have a skittish horse. But whatever you do, slow up, because the last thing you want to be responsible for is having somebody fall off their horse in those remote areas and need medical assistance, all because you were an idiot. So, so I always have done that. And we actually came across their crew coming through some pretty cool brush, and we instantly slowed up and went to idle and slowed down, and you could see all of them just giving us a nod of thanks. And that's respecting each other in the bush.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome.
Next one's can I just before you shoot off there, Dave, and I know you're trying to keep us on a timeline here, mate, but what was the name of the second hut we came across when we passed those horses, Matt? I can't remember the name. Bluff Hut. So I just wanted to very, very briefly touch on Bluff Hut. So Bluff Hut is absolutely sensational, and you've got to go and check it out. But it was a real eye-opener for me from the regard of I went into this hut, and in this hut there was a 20-litre drum of water. There was some tins of food like Spam and everything else sitting on the shelf, and there was some cooking equipment there like a frying pan and a blah 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 whatever. But it took me a second to realise what was going on in there, and I was really humbled by people putting that stuff in there to save lives, because that's the bottom line. So these huts are designed in, when it gets the snow comes in or bad weather or whatever, people need shelter that are hiking or on horseback or whatever it may be. They go into these huts as an emergency situation, and they might be stranded there for days on end because there's a storm blowing in or what have you. And people are putting food in there so these guys can survive. Like, it's not just, they're not just, because when I first went in there, I looked at it and I was like, geez, that's a bit ordinary. People have just left their junk in here. But then once I painted the picture and I had an understanding of what was going on, I was like, wow, that's super humbling that people get behind that and, leave those good resources to help people save a life, because that's exactly what that stuff's for, is to save people's lives. So I think it's super important if you get a chance to, go to these places, to respect that sort of stuff. And if you can leave something there that's going to last a long while, do the same thing. And don't write your name on the wall. I don't care if Steve was there in 1927. I don't care. Like, I just want to see the beauty of it, not your stinking writing on the walls. Sorry.
That's a great point, Lucas. I love you raised that, because I've been going there so long, I forget that that's what that's about, and that I know about it, so it's just normal to me. But I love that you raised it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Absolutely. Now, talking about writing on the wall, we're now rolling to Benambra Pub. Well, I think it was stickers on the wall at that pub. Stickers. But tell me a bit about Benambra Pub, Matt.
Yeah, so we saw a Facebook post just leading up to our trip of Benambra Pub, and they were going, we're a small country pub, we're struggling, we're just trying to make a go of it and have a crack at this. If you're coming through the high country, come and say g'day. So we're going to go, and we had hoped we might have been able to camp there. It didn't work out for us, but we said we're going to go for lunch there. So we rolled in, and I walked into the pub, and I'm like, g'day, we're here because you put a post up on Facebook saying you want us to come and support a pub. So we're here to support you. And the look on the girl's face, like, what was her name? Is it Erin? I think it was Erin.
Could have been.
Oh, geez, now. Anyway, the look on her face was like, oh, thanks. And she was sort of a bit shocked and stunned by it. I'm like, yeah. So, Lucas, he runs a sport ride park, and I got a YouTube channel, and rah, rah, rah. And we sort of, she was all blown away by it. And I said, anyway, where's your sticker wall? And she's like, what? I said, well, wherever we go to support pubs, they have a sticker wall, and we make a donation to whatever their charity is, whether it be RFDS or whatever, the Royal Flying Doctors or whatever. I said, we make a donation, and then we can put a sticker on your sticker wall. And she's like, we don't have one. I said, well, you're going to start one then. And she's like, oh, all right,
So you started graffiti.
I started graffitiing the pub so that we could make a donation to their local CFA. It's fair.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It. It's good.
So the Mad Matt sticker is now on the back of the bar wall on the mirror, and then Lucas chucked his Team Bree sticker up there, and we made our donations, and we had the best lunch.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The
feed was awesome.
It
was awesome.
Oh, it was proper good.
And I know Matt when he says that because Matt hates cooking. So anyone makes lunch for him, he's stoked.
It's not that I hate it, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm glad you can, Dave.
Well, we'll find out on the next trip, eh?
Michelle's seen the locals
We'll find out,
in the
mate.
bar. And she shouted them all around. She shouted them the next round, and the locals are just like, who are you people? Where have you come from? Because they just don't see that out there. So if you go into the Ben Amber pub, shout the locals a round of beers. It might cost you, I don't know, $50, but it'll make their day.
Oh, they were buzzing, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. No, that's great. I'm going to jump forward to a little thing I want to call here the quickfire round. So we're going to jump into a little thing, and I'm going to just throw some things at both of you, and I want you guys to give me your answer in 10 seconds. Right?
Here we go.
All right, so here we go. First thing, best track, Matt.
Cynthia Spur, towing Navaras and patrols. Bang.
Lucas.
Probably Billy Goats, because it was pretty exciting. And Blu-ray.
Awesome. One. Two. Love it. Okay,
sorry.
best campsite, Matt, 10 seconds. What is it and why?
Best campsite, Upper King Hut. Because we were right on the creek, we had trees all around us, and Starlink didn't work.
Lucas.
The one at Tom Grogan that we found was awesome because the swimming and the just the peace and serenity. We didn't see anyone, so it was amazing.
Okay, next one, Matt, is best meal on the trip.
I was cooking. What are you talking about? It was meat. That was it.
You just told me what it was.
Ben Amber pub.
The Ben Amber pub.
Oh,
Sorry.
thank you. Good job. Well done. Nice.
Thanks, producer.
Lucas, best meal on the trip.
Yeah, Ben Amber pub, mate. It was next level. They did a really good job.
Okay, awesome. Best view of your trip, Matt. Best view.
Looking in the rear view mirror and seeing two patrols on snatch straps behind me.
Nice. Well played. Who's had to get that one in? Lucas, what was your best view from the trip?
Watching the 200 pull him up, Cynthia Spur.
I
think it was the bottom of that hill where he nearly died.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably.
Look, I think the best view for me, mate, was I took a second. Like someone's going to say it should be the view of Blue Rag or whatever, which was amazing. But it was just when I was walking back to camp at one point there after I'd been to the bathroom, just the crew, like the crew, the people that were there, my family, good friends, it was just awesome to be walking back there and going, oh man, this is cool. So yeah, that'd be my best view.
Awesome. Awesome. Very last one. Best car on the trip. Lucas, starts with you.
What sort of question is
What?
that?
It's a 62, mate.
My wife's 62. Guess what mine is?
Actually,
The Navara.
I'm going to change that. I reckon it was the Navara. The 62 was awesome, but the Navara was amazing. Yeah, it did a cracking job, mate. The whole trip, the Navara did really, really well. Other than the gear change hiccup it had, but it did really well.
Well, we all know Matt's is the 200, and now we're going to get to the very.
Mate, no, I was going to upset the apple cart.
What was it? The horse?
The horse, yeah. No, I actually think the Y62 was darn impressive. I wouldn't. I believe I'd have the skills to do what Lucas did. I would not have ever set myself up to do it. And the Y62 did a sterling job handling what it had to handle doing it.
Yeah,
so.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, now we're getting to that segment of the show that Matt's been waiting for, which we kind of fed in already, but it's this one here.
Pain.
We don't offer marriage counselling, but I'm hearing that he's going to need it.
Walking a puddle is what I should have done a few moments ago, but I didn't, and I got us into a whole world of pain.
It's time in the show for those moments that you kind of want to forget. It's time for Trail Fails. Okay, Matt, I'll let you lead this one. You've got 5 minutes before I cut you off. What were the trail fails on this trip?
Waffling, Matt.
And 5 minutes is this whole segment, and then I'm wrapping up. So
All right.
go, Matt.
Okay, so we won't talk about the brakes failing anymore. We've covered that off. So, but Lucas, you chuffed off and left the shoes on the van, didn't you?
Yeah,
I
I did,
Put them up there to dry.
Yeah.
Did you have to go back and get one of them? Was that what it was?
I
forgetting
did.
Exactly the detail.
It was still at the campground.
That's right.
What
Yeah,
happened? Sorry, what? Sorry.
So first night at camp, okay, it was Lucas's favourite camp, just up from Tom Grogan, a little spot I knew, and we camped up there. And he left off, and we got down to the Murray River, and we wanted to get some beautiful shots of the cars driving across the Murray River.
Yeah.
And then we're like, put your shoes on, and he didn't have his shoes.
I had one.
Had one.
Did you bring more than one pair of shoes on this trip, or was that your only pair of shoes?
I had shoes, boots, and thongs.
Okay, copy.
So these were my joggers that I lost, and they were brand
And
new.
you lost them? Where'd you find them?
No, I found it. It was back at camp. So I sat them on the spare tyre of the van. One fell on the inside between the tyre and the van, and the other one fell off on the ground. So, I just had to go back and fetch it.
That's a bit of a fail. Yeah, I understand.
So, Lucas, tell us about the trailer, the camper trailer wheel.
Well, I just wanted to
explode.
just wanted to brush on Matt left his frying pan behind as well, so that was a fail.
How far was the detour, Matt, to go back to get your frying pan?
Probably 20 Ks.
Oh, that's all right. I thought it would be bigger than that.
Mine was about 2 or 3. So you win the fail, Matt.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was, look. So somebody can go work it out. It was Craig's Hut down to Flat Spur camping area.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So I
fair
reckon
enough.
what else?
It
wasn't. I reckon it wasn't a fail. I reckon it was a potential failure that we could see and we planned around it so it didn't happen. But I still want to share it with you guys. So when we came down from not Blue Rag, was it Blue Rag? Yeah, Blue Rag. There was a hill that we were going to go up that was just super, super loose. So Matt and I decided that we would daisy chain his car to the 62 to get up this super slippery slope. And those both cars helped each other. Well, Matt could have drove it by himself because he didn't have a 2.5 ton. But we planned it.
Well, he ended up with 5.5 ton.
Yeah, that's right. Because I just put in neutral and had a cup of tea.
That was. Yeah, that's right. And videoed it. No, like that. We've actually done a video about it. In all seriousness, and it was not that. Like I think the Y60 probably would have got you up there, but it was about being smart. And instead of trying to break the vehicles and just send it and drive all of that, it's like and damage the trails unnecessarily. We're like, let's just daisy chain it and let's just drive this up there and get up there without stressing everything out. It worked an absolute treat. But there is a video coming out in due course which unpacks all of that, and we go right into it. It's very cool.
Nice.
So I had a drama
battery. Sorry, mate.
I had a drama.
Something happened.
Me. It's Matt.
It's me. Pick on that. No, I had a drama with the battery system. So I've got this pretty fancy battery system in the 200, which we need for our filming and what we do. And one night in camp, I'm trying to cook some stuff, and it's just fritzing and turning off, and then it'd come back on, and then it wouldn't work. And I started to get a bit panicky because we got 2 fridges full of meat and all this stuff going on. Anyway, we start pulling the back of the 200 series apart. We get down into where the lithium battery is, and I find 2 bolts which have never been tightened up from install. So, on the earth shunt, they were literally just nipped up. So, our trip up Cape York, Dave, we did filming trip and all that. Yep, they would have been like that the whole time.
Wow, there you go.
So that was a bit of a whoops. Anyway, there you go.
Look, it happens. It's funny. And speaking about electrical systems, and this will lead nicely into a little bit of an announcement on the end of this episode of something pretty cool that we've got planned coming up. And currently, my truck's in about 400 pieces out in the shed here because I've gutted it to go back through the 12-volt system, because on the last 2 filming trips I've done, I've had a an electrical gremlin in my truck as well, where it's just the DC to DC charger just decides not to charge for a day or two.
Beautiful.
Which is super boring when you're filming. So I've gutted it and I'm starting from scratch. But same thing, Matt. As I'm pulling it apart, I'm like, oh, that terminal's a bit loose. Oh, that's a bit loose. Because you try and hide your batteries in and under things and out of the way, and you forget that corrugations have a really good habit of rattling things loose, and then everything goes bad.
Cool.
Awesome.
Here we go. All right, lads. Have a great evening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to talk about the High Country. If you've got any other thoughts and ideas and tips for the High Country, throw them in the comments here on Spotify, and tell your mates about the podcast, because the more people that hear it, the better, and the more cool things we can do and teach you guys about different places to go, talk about some of the things that matter in the four-wheel drive world. And in fact, we've got a pretty cool one that we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks as well on vehicle weights, which is a big topic at the moment. So stay tuned for that. Any last thoughts, Matt, before we wrap up this one at almost exactly an hour and a half, which is shorter than others we have done?
We're getting better.
We're improving.
I love it. I'm having so much fun doing these. I'm having so much fun working with you guys and doing these podcasts, because I just know that people are getting helped. And send us your questions, in any questions at all. It just helps us help you. So that's all I got.
Lucas, tips on towing a 2.5 ton van in the High Country. Sorry, no, not doing that. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're going to be the bait in the next podcast.
Look, guys, I just appreciate everyone for listening in, tuning in, sharing it with your mates, and I can't wait to share some more of our epic, awesome adventures. So just enjoy the adventure, and I'll see you on the tracks.
Yo!